All right. So, my name is Kent Gruber, and I do cyber security. I don't like the word cyber. I don't know if I like the word cyber. I'm undecided. And I do things of security on computers. Next person.
Nikita.
My name is Nikita Golubets, and I am a senior security consultant for Eastern Michigan University.
That's very true.
Slash student.
He's also full of shit.
Slash student.
It's true as well.
I'm
And
doing
he's 23 years old.
very professional research at the moment on cryptography and various other things. Shane would like to talk about the rest of what I said.
All right. I'm Shane. Recently just graduated from EMU and just living the life of things out after school, I guess. You know, post-education. Jeff?
My name's Jeff Williams. I work DFIR in healthcare, and finishing my degree at Eastern Michigan this semester.
Oh yeah, all of us are either current Eastern Michigan University students or past Eastern Michigan University students. Yeah, we're a part of the Information Assurance Student Association, where we are, and we have current members and past members. Shane is the one that's a past member right now. Yeah.
Yay for being an alumnus.
Yeah, so if you're listening...
I don't have to keep saying some of us are and some of us are. Anyway, but we still hang out. We still kind of consider more than just a student association. We're kind of just a group of security people in a way, just in this area, or we kind of met up around the Ypsilanti area because that's where we went to school. But yeah, now we're all kind of separated and doing our own things. We like to hang out.
Like to come
Hang
chill
out
every night, talk about things.
And that's sort of what we're doing right now. We're just sort of recording that. Not to make it, I don't know if that's meta. I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know, just I figured we just start recording some of the stuff that we're talking about, because I feel at this point, it's we're talking about stuff that's just relevant to security related stuff, and it's fun and it's exciting, and I like podcasts myself, and it's almost podcasty in a way. So I figured record it, put it out in the world. Spread.
I agree.
And with that said, Wendy's. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
It just got briefed, apparently.
I ate
Or they
there
got briefed.
pretty much almost every other day when I was at Eastern, so that's awesome.
Oh, so I just got the email today from Eastern.
We all got the email from Eastern.
All right. So a little bit of background. Wendy's got pwned. I think it's 3 locations within the Ypsi area got pwned. And they don't entirely understand the extent of how badly they got wrecked. So what they did is, I'm guessing they got hit with the skimmer. That's just the way it looks to me. So what they're doing now is they're doing the whole responsible company thing and informing everyone who has ever gone to Wendy's on that campus or may have gone to those stores and saying, hey, look, we're offering free credit monitoring for these people because, your identities could get stolen for eating at Wendy's.
Kudos to Eastern, though, for sending out that blast email to the students and staff. And
Oh, yeah, props to them.
Yeah, that was really cool how they did that, because I don't think other people other than us actually follow that kind of news. I'm not even sure, just because of all the events of yesterday and stuff, if that was even on mainstream news websites. I don't know.
No,
I did see it in the news.
Okay.
It popped up in news on Slack.
Well, that's geared more towards InfoSec. That's why. That's what I was saying. I don't know if it's in
Oh no, it probably didn't. It was on Hacker News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
So we all got owned. It makes me feel obviously we're gonna deal with that. This isn't actually the first time I've had to deal with this. So I don't know.
Well, maybe you guys got owned. I personally never actually used my card at Wendy's. That was cash. So.
Oh, someone's better.
Oh yeah, and I like to just throw a disclaimer out there. Shane sounds like a Decepticon sometime, and so does Nikita, because their internet's god awful.
But
My internet is perfectly fine.
You literally were saying you were getting 3 megs yesterday. No, 1.5 megs.
Well, you know what? I'm using my phone's network right now.
Oh.
5G, boy.
Okay.
It's the future. Let's talk about 5G. Okay, we're going a little bit off topic here and talking about the future of 5G internet.
Oh, I actually saw an article today related to 5G. I'm not sure how true it was. I didn't really look at it. It was on my Twitter feed. But apparently cell phone carriers are now saying that they won't bring 5G unless net neutrality rules are weakened or something like that. So that's kind of interesting.
Well,
Wait a second. We're talking about 5G, like Europe's 5G, not our 5G,
I don't know.
which is
man.
actually 4G.
I literally just saw. Well, that's LTE.
We're talking about 5G,
We're talking
5G.
about 5G. So
Okay.
I'm not sure how true it is. I was on my lunch break today, and I was scrolling through my Twitter feed, and I just saw a title that said, "Cell phone carriers are holding back on 5G until net neutrality rules are weakened," or something like that. So that's definitely something I told myself I'd look into later, but I just didn't because lazy.
So basically, this week, and shitty things that ISPs have done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really ridiculous, honestly. I don't
even know how fast my phone is. I don't. I feel so out of this
I
talk.
feel like I'm always on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, like
You know what I
I'm
mean?
never not on Wi-Fi. Like that's one thing I'm kind of like happy about is I don't have to use my data, and because I have limited data.
You said you have limited or unlimited?
I have limited data, so like that's why I'm always on Wi-Fi.
Dude,
Like I don't even.
It's so crazy. I have like 15 gigs a month, but I always go through that just from listening to like Spotify in my car.
No way.
Yeah, like I always go through.
Now, what?
I don't know. I mean,
How much Spotify do you listen to?
I mean,
first off? And
then
secondly,
again, I'm
where
in
are
a
you getting
new
your
job
bandwidth?
now. My old job, I may or may not have just drove around all day listening to music.
That's probably why.
But we're not gonna. Yeah, that's what happened.
That's past, Jeff. It's in the past.
It's in the past. But yeah,
Well-
I saw that. I'm actually gonna do a quick Google search.
Apparently, a bunch of people have been using up their cell data for playing Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah, I see that. Speaking of Pokemon Go, I haven't played it yet. I mean, we all know me. I'm a pretty big tinfoil guy. I don't like to share my location. So that's pretty much the only thing that stopped me from it. But have you guys played it?
No,
I downloaded
not
it.
yet.
I opened it. It froze. I got annoyed, and I uninstalled it.
I played. It looks like you have to walk around large areas. So I kind of walked around my house and I'm like, this is boring. And I installed it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Pokemon Go is not gonna be any fun if you don't have like data to burn through. You know.
Oh, do you think this is why they released it?
Wait, what?
They're trying to get people to walk. Okay, so this is what they're trying to promote, man. They're trying to get people to get kids to walk and exercise because
How does that work for something like a VPN? Where like, because I haven't I tweeted a tweet like Pokemon Go plus VPN equals HMO2 because Fly like assumably like if it's using Wi-Fi and I can play Pokemon Go with Wi-Fi, I'm pretty sure that's the case. Like, I don't know why that would be the case. I'm playing Pokemon Go on Wi-Fi and then I use a VPN on my phone. Now I'm in like
You're in Russia.
I don't know. Yeah,
And
like
there's
why not?
different
And then,
Pokemon, right? Like
like-
that's what we were talking about the other night.
but I'm just like, how does the like walking around thing work? Is it like for the access point? Like, is there GPS and Wi-Fi? Am I dumb?
I think it might use local Wi-Fi hotspots to narrow down GPS stuff, but I don't think that's really how that works.
I think it's more like
Because-
cell tower. Like whatever cell tower your data's connecting to
So I
gives
have
you
to have.
different. I don't know, man. I haven't played it. I just
That's
haven't.
weird, no?
Yeah, I just don't like to enable location on my phone because
It asks permission for a lot. It needs to access your video, pictures,
well,
GPS.
it does that. Does it do your pictures or does it just say camera? Because that's how the app works, right? From what I understand, you walk around and you look through.
Yeah, it's probably for that.
I'm just gonna have to play this app, I guess, and just see how this works and do a little bit of looking. You know what I mean? Figure out what's going on with that. See if I can break
Ooh.
that. You know? I mean, not break that. Not break that.
Speaking of Pokemon Go and that camera thing, there's already a few posts. Actually, I didn't even read this one earlier, but someone posted on Today I Fucked Up on Reddit by playing Pokemon Go and causing property damage. Earlier today, I was browsing it and saw Today I Fucked Up and lost my career because the guy worked for a bank as an IT guy. And apparently, you know, obviously in those jobs, there's probably restrictions on cell phone usage, like cameras, whatever, just because of the data that could be captured from the cell phone camera. And apparently he was sitting there and he was trying to catch a Zubat, so he had to lift his phone up in the air. And when he did that, one of his coworkers or something saw him doing that and reported him, and they seized his phone. They're sending it to like their lab or whatever to see. And he's a developer. He was developing something, or he developed some kind of code. And apparently he took pictures of his own code, like snippets, on his camera, which would violate their policy, I'm guessing. So he's worried that he's going to lose his job now.
Dude, he's so screwed. He is so screwed.
Yeah,
Because,
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if there was a single bit of, if there was like a single rat on that phone, dude, you're fucked. That's it. You're screwed. Your entire career is down. Forget it.
I feel like in that situation, like the real fuck up is why are you taking pictures of code that you're developing for this company on your camera? Like, don't get me wrong, like maybe for later debugging or whatever, but like, you know, if like why are you gonna work on something for that if it's that in-house, right? Like it might be your own code, but we all know how that goes. Like if you're working for a company, it's like you're kind of passing on the rights to them in a way. But I don't know how that works really. So like that's the real fuck up, right? Like why would you do that? Like if you need to debug things or look at things, like why wouldn't you just do it when you're at work and not take pictures of it on your phone and take it home with you? But I don't know.
Doesn't sound like a good idea
Right.
at all. No.
Speaking of not a good idea, Facebook's new encrypted chat.
Tell us about this, Jeff.
So I didn't really dig too much into it. Basically, I follow the writer or the author of CryptoCat on Twitter, and he went on this complete tirade this morning about Facebook chat. I mean, this is my thing too. So before I dive into what he said, when you look at something like Facebook and how much data it collects, like it's like when they rolled out the anonymous profiles. You guys remember when they did that? Like, why would you ever, or like even for Tor or whatever they did, I forget what they did. It was like anonymous profiles using Tor or whatever. They like, allowed Tor connections. Like, to me, Facebook, like, if you're using Facebook, you literally cannot expect any privacy. And that's just my
No, you can't.
I totally agree.
I mean,
like,
you have the illusion through the privacy controls, but I mean, other than that,
right. Like,
well, when you like sign up for the service, like if I'm not mistaken, like even like they're like photo, like they basically take away certain rights of the user because you're using their service. It's not like I have rights because I'm like a person and like you're like another, like it's they have a lot more control over what they can do because you're using their service, that you're under their control. It's kind of an agreement, but like they're obviously like the one profiting off of the agreement that you're using. Like it's kind of like a social contract where like I'm using your service, I'm seeing ads that's paying for you to give me more ads, and then I can like keep using your service, you know? Like they pay to know how you use their service. So like expecting them to like not be nosy and not like track all of that data is kind of silly in a way, you know?
No, definitely, I agree. So I guess going back to the author of CryptoCat, he basically, I guess the big thing around the Facebook chat and like, or the encrypted chat, like we all have heard it from the get-go, like they're using the Signal protocol, and I've used Signal in the past. I'm sure you guys have too. It's a good application. They put it into WhatsApp. WhatsApp does it completely right, and even though WhatsApp's owned by Facebook, like they did it right. And what I mean by that, and just kind of going off what this guy's saying, is for one, it's not on by default. 2, you can only use it on a single device. 3, there's no authentication, like so you can't like send keys or anything like that to whoever you're talking to. So like, and you know that's a big thing of encrypted comms is authenticating who you're talking to. And 4, it's centralized. So whether you think it's like going on or not, like if the Facebook server, and this is from my understanding, I could be completely wrong. Like I'm not a cryptographic expert like Nikita.
Indeed. Go on.
If it's centralized, like that Facebook server, whatever they're doing to monitor or like run that, it can just be like, nah, like no, we're not going to enforce it, and you wouldn't know really, even though you have it enabled, and because there's no auth. You guys get like what I'm saying?
There's
like,
no way for you to check,
yeah,
right? Because you're trusting Facebook to do and handle all that authentication processes,
right?
Process, whatever.
And like. That's dumb because Facebook definitely isn't trustworthy, in my honest opinion. I don't use it. I know, like a few of you guys do, or maybe all 3 of you guys do.
I've deleted that, man.
Yeah.
Nope.
My question would be like, what would be the benefit for Facebook to have? I mean, like from a Facebook, like if I'm Facebook, what's the benefit for me to have encrypted chat? I mean, like other than like I'm gonna make it an option for my user because it looks like I'm trying, you know. But like most of my users aren't going to be turning that on anyway, so and because it's optional, you know. Like,
right. I think
it seems like I don't know. I don't really like take a look at like maybe I'll turn it on. Obviously, it's, you know. But I don't
right.
I think use it to do anything that I need to have. I don't need Facebook as my encrypted chat like option.
I just feel like Facebook, and I mean we're seeing a lot with other companies, right? Like social media platforms, like they're starting to realize. Like, privacy is starting to slowly pick up, right? Even normal end users, not just guys like us or girls like us. Like, we have privacy in mind, we have security in mind, but a lot of people don't. But I feel like ever since, like, the Snowden leaks and everything like that, like, people are starting to recognize, like, privacy awareness, right? And it's starting to hurt those companies in a way, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, Facebook's always going to be around. Facebook's not going anywhere. But... like I think they're trying to draw more people, right, by doing those methods, and they're trying to like bring like people like into it, like oh like I can do it. But I agree, like I think if you're using Facebook and you think there's any way for you to be anonymous or have secure communications, like you're just I don't know. I feel like it's just a very uneducated way of thinking that you're secured, and that's just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. No, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. And, you know, all this security stuff is well and good, but if you got users that are going to do the stupid thing and say, hey, look, guys, blah, blah, I'm just going to go to the library, sign into my Facebook account, and then forget to sign out when I walk away, and then the next person walks up and says, oh, look, I'm going to open up Facebook and load these cookies, and you're done. I mean, it's great, but what's it really going to solve? I mean, if
I'm
you're
kind
not
of
enforcing encryption and stuff like that.
Opinion on this cryptographic matter is because he's a residential cryptographic expert.
Yes, can you give us your expert input, sir?
Oh, the expert input, of course. So Facebook uses Facebook uses this advanced cryptographic advanced cryptographic algorithm using, you know, yeah, PGP is just PGP, and Signal is Signal, and we'll never know whether Facebook is really secure or not.
And I think it just shows you how easy buzzwords are believed these days, right? Someone mentioned Signal protocol, and even people in our community, man, it's ridiculous. Like, even, like I said, the author of CryptoCat, and I keep on referring to him like that because I don't know how to pronounce his name, and I feel like it's rude. Well, Nadim, is that, do we all agree that's probably?
Nadim? I don't know.
So we're going to go with Nadim. So, like, And I think that's like Nadim's thing is like you know he went at it with people in our community that basically stood behind this. And I honestly think it's just because Facebook paid them to come in, see it in early development, and they got a paycheck from them, or maybe they just, I don't know, they're not as tinfoil as some of us are. I don't know.
I think if anyone like going in and looking at Facebook's like current just like chat model, or of like we got this going on, we have like these users. I assume that like they were just like, well, we're providing a service that we think our users are gonna want, and like if you're selling it like I don't think our users are gonna be happy if we just turn on encryption by default, or like just like enforce these policies on our users. Like if you sell it in the right way, like I think I don't know. And not that it's the good thing to sell it in that regard, but like I could see how like some people like even in our community, well at least in the cryptographic community, could like be like, okay, I get why you might have to do it this way if like you're forced to abide by whatever your users want, you know.
No, I get that. And I don't know. I mean, I guess you could look at it as in like the step in the right direction, right? You could look at it that way, but I don't know. I'm just sick of like always hearing things like every other day. It's like people give praise to these products or services, and they really have no idea how it works. And it's like these companies get away by fooling people with just buzzwords, right? So in here in Facebook's case, we can say the whole anonymity aspect, you know, with their profiles and stuff we talked about that they allowed like a year ago, and then now they're, you know, throwing encrypted comms in, and then the worst thing is like they're buzzwording Signal protocol, which is a great protocol and it's proven very useful, but I don't know. I think it's just at the end of the day, like we were saying, like if you're worried about your privacy and you want to have encrypted communications, like just don't fucking use Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely for the illusion. Definitely for the illusion. Security illusion.
Moving on, I think, from Facebook encryption and all of that genius fun stuff, but staying on like the whole like InfoSec fun stuff, Mimi Kittens, that place exploitation PowerShell tool.
Right, dude. I really need to learn PowerShell.
Right?
PowerShell's fantastic, guys. It's great.
Like
It's great.
As much shit as I feel like we give Windows and everything, like PowerShell is like, especially like if you guys, I'm sure you guys do, but like if anyone's watching, like I always suggest going on Reddit NetSec, that thread. And you always, like I would say every other week, there's always some kind of neat PowerShell exploitation tool or something along those means. And every time I read those and like go through the blog posts by the researchers, I just always think to myself like, I need to learn this. But then I don't. So, but yeah.
From what I saw of PowerShell, it didn't at least look fun to like write in. Like it didn't look eloquent. It kind of reminded me. I don't know. Because you have to build everything up yourself instead of just like stringing together these like bash commands that I know with like some pipes and then maybe like piping that to a file, doing some awk magic on that. Like it seems like, well, then you have to like build up stuff yourself, but it gives you all the tools to do those things in very powerful ways. And it kind of just looks a little intimidating. And I also don't use Windows enough. Like I'm always on some sort of Linux or like OS 10 or some sort of Linux distribution for work. That I'm never on a Windows environment enough to dive into PowerShell, at least right now.
Gotcha.
Because I'm always in a bash. I already know my bash command, so like writing bash scripts and like tools like that, like I'm already familiar with that environment.
I mean, PowerShell is great and all, but my main issue is, I mean, I've used it in the past for certain like Windows administration tasks and stuff. My problem is with it is I don't feel it does tab completion correctly. Like let's say in like the normal Unix defined world, I believe if you hit tab completion, it's going to tab to what it thinks you're trying to say, right? But in Windows, it's going, when you hit tab completion for any given string, right, it's going to start with the first thing alphabetically. And as you hit tab, you have to hit tab and tab again and again as you move down the list alphabetically. All right. So you find a command that is good, and you know that's good and all. It works. The problem with it is so many PowerShell commands. It's based on they're based on camel casing, right? So you get to the point where you're saying, okay, cool, ipconfig tab 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 tab. 3 hours later, tab tab tab. Oh, that's the right one. And you know that's my main issue with it, is that it can be so much simplified.
So with Mimi Kittens, it's, if people haven't seen this, essentially just in a nutshell, from the README on GitHub, Mimi Kittens is a post-exploitation PowerShell tool that utilizes the Windows function read process memory in order to extract plaintext passwords from various target processes. Mimi Kittens can also easily extract other kinds of juicy target processes using regex patterns, including but not limited to credit card data from merchant point of sale processes and other encryption keys and other all fun good stuff. So basically, you run that, and then you use assumably a browser. I think that's how that works. So you run this, and then you use your browser, and then as you like log into stuff, it'll basically read the process memory of that browser and then grab the plain text passwords out of that. That's my current understanding of it. And so like Slack, Dropbox, Amazon Web Services, Gmail, lots of really cool stuff. And it has a cool little like graphical user interface where it gives you a kitten, and I think that's great. So I think that's really good PowerShell stuff. I've seen a lot of like, especially recently, I think PowerShell is being picked up by more and more people because people are showing like some really cool stuff that you can do with it. I'm thinking I want to jump on that bandwagon soon.
All right, so what do we have next on the agenda?
How about that?
I don't know. Hold on. I don't know.
How about that robot they use?
All right, so just so any viewers have context, today is July the 8th, 2016. Last night, there was a shooting in Dallas, Texas. It wasn't more of a shooting. There was a Black Lives Matter rally going on, and there were I believe it was four gunmen who were posed on top of buildings, ended up firing down into the crowd, and ended up killing 4 police officers and wounding 11 grand total.
I think there was another one that passed from their injuries. I think it ended up being 5 officers. But I mean, okay. I don't know. The media, you know how the media is in the post of an event like this. There's all sorts of misinformation. But go ahead.
Okay, so the main thing that we want to talk about in this one was during the last standoff, where there was the last shooter and the SWAT team. Supposedly, what had happened was the SWAT team ended up using a bomb disposal robot that was actually armed with an explosive to go in and then detonate the explosive near the target and kill this guy.
Yeah, it seems like the InfoSec community blew up about this today. I mean, I'm not going to lie, like I said, I'm not really on other social media platforms but Twitter, and I mostly follow InfoSec people, and it was really nice not to see, like, you know, the hatred that kind of on the both ends of the spectrum going at each other. But yeah, that seems like to be the biggest thing in the InfoSec community, is the use of that robotic device to carry out something like that. And I think it does present some challenges and questions moving forward about, you know, the paramilitarization of our police forces. But it's really hard for me, and especially that someone's like that's very privacy minded, that's against like the paramilitarization of our local agencies, like police agencies, like I get what they're saying, but I feel like, it's like it's almost I feel bad because in this situation, I completely see it as justified. And I'm glad they chose that route instead of putting more officers' lives at risk, and they were able to have a method like that. But I also see the challenges that presents for the future, right? What's that going to introduce for agencies to do in the future with such things as drones or these bomb defusal kit or robots? Because I know in the military they actually, especially in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, they were equipping their bomb disposal units with machine guns at a certain point, so that way they could detonate explosives from a distance. But yeah, I mean, I honestly have no opinion on this at this point in time. I think it's just because of the event, and I see it as kind of justified, but it does scare me to the fact of, well, how is this going to affect it in the future, right?
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like you summed that up really well, Jeff.
And you make some valid points. Going for I remember there was, I think it was a Vice documentary, but don't quote me on that, about an entire group of people who were against what they called the rise of killer robots. All right, and you may laugh at the name, but what they're talking about is the militarization of robotics and using that in actual warfare. So, I mean, we had the Predator drones that we used during Operation Desert Storm, and now you have these bomb disposal robots that are being retrofitted with machine weapons or machine guns. And then, I mean, if you actually look at, DARPA's advanced initiative for doing robotics, one of their things that they were really concerned with was that sure, these robots are designed specifically for search and rescue operations, but it would be really simple to put a gun in that robot's hands and say, okay, go kill this person.
Right.
And
I think the scariest part of it, and it kind of goes back to what you mentioned with the Predator drones, like, yeah, these are machines, right, doing it, and in the hindsight, you're thinking, okay, and we're all thinking, as long as it saves human lives, right, why not? But we look at the mistakes with Predator drones that our government has made, and, I'm talking strictly U.S. There's been a lot of innocent civilians that have died because of misinformation, right, from intelligence communities, and stuff like that, and I don't know, that's where I kind of see the danger of this, bomb defusal thing being used in the future. So, if that happens with some of our best and brightest minds in our intelligence communities, how is that going to affect the future of local policing if they have those capabilities? You get what I'm saying?
Totally.
I just see a lot more mistakes happening from that standpoint. Like I said, it puts me in a weird position because last night I totally agree with the use of it. And, just like with all things, we would love everything to go 100% okay all the time, right? And to be justified like something last night was. But that's not going to be the case. Because mistakes happen, and I don't know, it's just scary to think of, on a local level, right? In your communities, your municipalities, something like that happening. And not just some drone strike in the Middle East, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. All right, I think we've talked on this one enough because none of us are experts in ethics or anything like that. So what's our next awesome topic we want to talk about? Because this is getting pretty freaking depressing.
Yeah, so I don't know. Why don't we brighten up the mood? And do you guys want to talk about projects we're working on in our free time or things we've been doing?
For sure. I know Nikita set up a website recently.
Oh, Nikita, tell us about your website.
Well, Kent gave me the great idea to, instead of paying for a hosting provider, to use GitHub pages. So I used that, and I redirected my URL to the domain I bought to GitHub pages, and it was pretty simple, really. And I used, what was it? Something Press. Tiny Press. That's what it was. I used Tiny Press to create a blog with it. It only took me 5 minutes, so it was pretty simple.
Cool. How much?
So if you want,
how much HTML and CSS do you actually have to program raw?
many. I give you the chance to hack it, Shane. I give you the permission to hack it.
Tiny Press, it's sort of like a WordPress. What is that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Tell us about Tiny Press.
It's pretty much WordPress that's really tiny. It's aimed at GitHub writing, the best GitHub writing platform. So obviously this is aimed at the GitHub pages. So if you want a blogging platform and you want free hosting,
Okay.
it's pretty cool.
How does their I know like one of the biggest things with WordPress, and as we've seen from Kent's presentations this past year,
Of course.
security being an issue. How does do you know much about the Tiny Press security?
I haven't taken a look at the security at all. I'm sure it's like WordPress though.
I think I could speak to some of that right now, though.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so Tiny Press, it's not exactly a tiny WordPress. So Tiny Press basically allows you
Okay.
to have a blog. Like WordPress allows you to have a blog, but WordPress is PHP and a MySQL database, and it's a dynamic thing going on. GitHub Pages, by like default, gives you static hosting, so you have these static pages or these static websites or blogs. In a case, if you use GitHub Pages and something like Tiny Press to help you essentially manage your blog without having a whole content management system with PHP and some sort of database backend doing all that stuff, and that's much more hackable than something that's generated in something like a Markdown language or maybe in HTML. I don't know specifically for Tiny Press, but basically you just have like this raw text in a way, and you can't really like hack it. If that makes any sense. You know, you're not hacking something that's pulling something from a database, or you're not hacking something allowing you to install some sort of like PHP web shell. You know, none of that's available to you as the hacker.
Okay. It sounds, I'm not sure, I don't know really too much about it, or I think, what was it? I know Demir uses it, that's in the club. What's it? Pelican?
Not sure.
I have heard of that. He told me about it.
Yeah, so that's cool. Well, kudos to you for finally getting your blog up. I still have yet to do that. Keep on pushing it off. And I'm glad you
Right.
decided against your $1 hosting.
Yeah, they did not give me SSH access, so.
But you're a senior security consultant. I don't understand.
Oh no, they say they wouldn't allow me to.
Did
Yeah,
you tell them about your cryptography?
I told them about the cryptography and I told them about the malware research I've been doing, and they still have not allowed me to do it.
Okay.
Next
Gee,
time,
I
man.
wonder why.
Have you been working on anything, Shane?
Right now I have been actually working on your podcast guides. Right now I'm writing up a red team primer for that. Mostly just going over certain ports you look for in an Nmap scan, what they mean, what they're associated with generally, and then how to get into these certain ports. Like for HTTP, for example, port 80, like one of the things that you want to think about, okay, cool, it's probably a website. So how do you go about doing this? Okay, cool, you can check out the robots.txt, or you could launch a Nikita scan against it, or you could see, hey, look, does this thing have MySQL running in the background, or is it, like, what kind of web server is it? Is it Apache? Is it Nginx? And then start looking into things like, okay, cool, if it's got SQL, let's do SQL injection. I mean, if it's got command injection, let's do that. I mean, let's load Netcat backdoor and just walk right in. A lot of simple stuff.
For sure.
That's cool.
And I guess on that, I last night I started, I published or put on GitHub my first iteration of some PyCats guides, I'm calling it. It's basically an assortment of general guides I've curated of general teaching purposes, focusing on red and blue team methodologies and tasks. And thankfully, it's not going to be just me. It's going to be Shane and whoever else wants to contribute to this. But basically, I want to centralize an area to accumulate and share knowledge and be able to prepare my teammates for competitions, and also have a repository for knowledge to share. So like when I'm no longer like eligible to participate in competitions for EMU or something like that, well then the next like team that comes along can use this information and move forward and extend on that knowledge. And also I just wanted to extend my own knowledge of computer things and, you know, of course, like hack the planet, you know.
No, that's super awesome, man, and I'm really glad you decided to do that. I think, and just to, like as a preface for anyone that may be watching, is our club, we send teams to the Information Security Talent Search competition, also known as IASTS in Rochester, New York, every year, and then we also send teams to CCDC, and I don't know what that stands for because I never went there. And
Cyber Target Defense Competition.
there we go. So
What he said.
I think that's super awesome, man, that you decided to start those guides, and just reviewing them from last night, they seemed very solid, and I think we all should contribute things to it in the future, honestly, whatever specialties we have, whether it's, you know, blue team, red team. I think anything that's going to help people in the future kind of get a grip on things, I think that's just super awesome.
Yeah, like I did an IP tables guide last night. Kind of did the visual rotation of like it, like broken down so like people can like hear about like chains and rules, but like which one goes first. Like you can have to read maybe the man pages, and I recommend like in the beginning. And I'm gonna try to like make it like a thing for the PyCats guides that in the beginning, if you're like talking about a command or something, or you're gonna be talking about a series of commands, be like read the man pages, and then like I give a link to the IP tables man page in the guide, and I have some other helpful links that I like, you know, link to. But yeah, just I'm thinking that if I keep expanding on these, it's gonna expand my own knowledge. So I'm gonna be really prepared for like hopefully for this next year's competition, and like I think it's just gonna help my other teammates because now they're gonna have to Google stuff. I already did some of the Googling to get started, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a very useful link to pass out when we start practices too.
Definitely. And then when other people get wind of this, all the competition can come use these guides.
Right, because they will.
And then you start Google Analytics and figure out where all the people are coming from beforehand.
Yep. Well, that's cool. I mean, sharing knowledge, right? And I mean, I think there's no better competitive nature than an equal playing field, right? So.
I guess so, yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Anything else you've been working on, Kat?
Yeah, Alethea. Alethea is this tool that's
Fancy
kind of for file integrity, security, kind of like almost forensics in a way. Just like anything file metadata, essentially, Alethea is a tool to basically serialize that file directory structure in an easy format, and then able to essentially compare the metadata of that, all the files in a directory structure over time, because it tracks the history. Every time you run that, it'll dump like a history of the current like metadata in this YAML format. And then the way that this YAML format, the way that I've tried to build it is that people can easily come in and like add their own like other metadata sort of, I'm just going to call them modules, though it's not the correct word, but like modules into this framework, and then be able to build stuff up from there. So like if they wanted to put in like I believe it's the Ruby gem, I'm going to be putting in there like EMU, I can add in other file metadata. So if a file matches a certain extension or something like that, well then I can potentially run certain analytics or certain metadata things for that file, and I can just track that, you know.
That's very cool, man.
Yeah.
And I know you showed me it, and I've seen a couple demos. It's definitely a shiny tool.
I think it's nice. And it's definitely coming along. I'll put that in GitHub soon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Follow PyCat on GitHub.
Yes. Go follow PyCat. PyCats.
Yeah. It ends with
PyCats.
the Z.
Z.
Yes.
Yep. Z, Z, Z.
Yeah.
One
PyCats.
Z.
Because someone had PyCat already, so I had to add Z at the
We'll
end.
probably do some fancy graphic on the screen while we're talking about this. Whatever.
Yeah,
Or
because
maybe a link.
yeah, because we're gonna be doing lots of editing to this. Not. I mean, I think.
Oh,
We're not professionals.
Yeah, this is just this is come chill moment.
and
Yeah,
if
we
you,
can
if you
definitely
take
put
a
a
look
link
at
up.
my GitHub, I got the PyCats guides, which I'm gonna be adding more to. Last updated 5 hours ago as of this recording. IP info for command line application, IP address information gathering, command line, Comcast command line interface, which basically is a browser bot with the command line application to automate Comcast router, like admin panel task in the browser. Reksha, which is a simple CAPTCHA solving tool that analyzes a given image and solves the CAPTCHA for a certain pen test tools website out on the internet. A Tito Slack bot, which is an implementation of a simple Slack chat bot to give your team a little bit of Tito love inspiration from Rocket Power.
Woogity.
Yeah, dude. Which I don't run.
Woogity,
So
woogity.
we're not making money off this. Or Nickelodeon, don't sue us.
For only
Red Honey
$9.99.
which is a simple, easy-to-use honeypot written in Ruby. I got another version, which is written in Bash, and I have another CAPTCHA solver. So come follow me on my GitHub. I got stuff, yo. I got stuff.
Yeah, we'll definitely post a link up for your GitHub.
Come tell me when I did stuff wrong. You know, I really I wish people, because like I've caught myself being like, oh, I published that and I totally spelled that thing wrong. You know, then I have to go back and I have to be like, oh man, good thing no one actually. If you can actually go on GitHub and you can kind of see who like looks at your stuff, and I don't get that many looks to be of course honest.
Not yet.
Yeah. Not yet. Not yet. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
But yeah,
Very cool, man.
I'm gonna keep at it though. I like building tools quite a bit.
I think that's like the coolest thing about you is like probably like since I've known you, it's almost like every other week there's something new you're working on. It's
try to
nuts,
stay-
man. Yeah, no, it's cool. I think that's awesome.
Today, and hopefully by the end of tonight, I'll be have my Open SSH guide for PyCat, my PyCats guide for Open SSH.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Key
Talking
authentication.
about all that.
Just need to like capitalize that. Key authentication.
I go over like some pretty interesting stuff, like how to set up SSH keys and stuff. I go over basically the whole suite of OpenSSH.
Nice.
Keygen, SSH add, everything.
Aha.
I can't wait until one day. The one thing I'm not doing with these podcast guides, and one thing maybe I should do a disclaimer on, is I'm definitely not running every command and making sure. I'm just being like, I've run this command before. I'll run it on my Debian box, and then I'm just like, I run Senta every day as my work. I trust that I know how Yum works. I don't know. I'm not testing all my commands. If someone does want to go through my guides and test all the commands and show me where I did something wrong and fix like a spelling error or something like that, I'm trying to be like vigilant, but if someone wants to go through them, please tell me where I did wrong, because that way someone else isn't like in a competition situation and trying to use my guide, you know?
And be like, this doesn't work, throws it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that USB this year, right? In the beginning of ISTS. That was great.
Right. Speaking of that, that's why I did my another guide that I wrote the other night, which was my local to remote guide. So like we have a lot more ways of tackling that problem.
Right, and it's something just as even as simple as spinning up like a web server or something on the host that you're hosting the files on and just pulling them to the virtual machines, which, you know, our other team did, but for some other reason we failed to neglect that. But that's fine. It's learning experiences.
Learning
Yeah.
things.
And I mean, it was a great time, right? We all had fun. Bambi didn't, but we all did.
Bambi. Oh no, Jeff. Are you gonna tell us about Bambi?
I guess. Ken, is there anything you want to
Take us
mention more
back.
about your
Take us back.
Okay.
Guys,
So, obviously, like I said, all four of us participated in ISTS this past year. It was my first time going. I think, Kent, Nikita, was your first time going as well?
Yes,
Yeah,
of
Shane, it was
course.
your second time?
Yeah, it was my second time. I was a
Yeah.
team lead this time.
Yeah, so first night, we get in, we do our orientation, everything's good, we go out to dinner, have a nice dinner, and we're rolling back. Oh, no, we went to Walmart to stock up on caffeine so we could work on things last minute, kind of get things together, a good game plan. And we're driving back to the hotel from a Walmart, convoy style. Peter's in front, Jessica's behind me, and I think, Nikita, you were driving Jessica's car, right?
Yeah, I ran
Yeah.
over your.
Yeah, so
I ran
anyways,
over your
I'm in the
headlight.
middle, and I see Peter driving. I don't see him swerve or anything, and my eyes are on the road, mind you. Like, my eyes are on the road, but we're talking, we're having a good time, and all of a sudden, just something smashes into the driver side of my truck, like the front driver's side, and at this point, I knew it was a deer. I was like, I just hit a fucking deer. But the best part was Gavin, who looked at me, and I will never forget his face, like dead ass serious, just looks at me and goes, "Was it a deer?" So then, like, my thoughts go from, "Oh, I just hit a deer," to like, I just fucking hit a hobo. Like, I literally just hit a hobo or some fucking old lady walking her fucking dog, and I'm going to jail.
Uh-oh.
So I pull into the parking lot of the hotel, because this literally happened, like 10 feet from the entrance?
Yeah,
I've
but-
seen that. You're
We
right.
literally were right there. And I pull in, and sure as shit, we just see this, like, deer twitching in the other lane that we were driving in. And then Yusuf's like, "Oh my god, he's twitching still." And then this other car comes by and just smokes it, dude. Just absolutely smokes the deer. But this car was like a sedan, and I don't understand how, like, they just kept on driving, like, no issue. Because they, like, totally ran over it.
That was
Because
so
they're
weird.
talking
I
about
didn't
tanks, I guess.
understand that.
But, yeah, so that was fun. Luckily, it was only cosmetic damage. It just sucked because I had to take my truck to luckily, there was, like, a mechanic shop right in front of our hotel. I took it to them first thing in the morning before the competition, and they called me, right before we went in the arena, right? Because it got delayed.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they called me right before we went in, told me my truck was good, it was all cosmetic, and I should be able to drive it home. So that was fun.
Jeff
You
killed
can't
it.
fix the deers.
Yeah. What's that, Kent?
Jeff killed a deer.
Yeah.
Kill deer.
Deer slayer.
Deer is kill.
Those are some good memories.
It was a good time. I just remember, like, going into the hotel room, and everyone else was in, I think, Shane and Peter's room, right?
Yeah. I was just getting everyone in my rooms, just chilling. Just
So
getting
they
all
were
chilled
in
out.
your guys' room, and I was in my room, calling my insurance company still, and talking to everybody, like, letting my family know what happened, and trying to just get an idea of, like, because I didn't know if my truck was damaged, right? So I didn't know if I was going to even be able to come back home in time.
Yeah.
So, like, I called my boss to give her a heads up. And then I just remember walking in the room, and you guys are all talking, laughing, and then everyone just silent. It's just, like, complete silence. And everyone just looks at me, and they're like, "Hey, Jeff. Hey, buddy."
I mean, to be fair, we thought you were going to be fucking livid.
Yeah,
How's your truck?
dude, I'll tell you what, man. I felt bad for Jessica, because she stayed out there with me. And I told her she didn't have to, but she did. And, like, I remained calm for most of it. But there was, like, a point when we were waiting for the police officer to show up where I just, like, unleashed the mother of all obscenities in just, like, in 2 sentences. And it was pretty funny because the cop was like, "Well, do you want me to make a police report?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, this happens a lot up here." I'm like, "Well, like, in Michigan, where we're from, you always make a police report. So, yes, please make a police report." He's like, "Okay." But it was pretty cool, man. I'm glad everything ended up being okay. Besides the, like, $500 deductible, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But other than, like, killing deer, I did work on a couple things, and I'm working on a project now that's pretty impressive, I think, or not impressive, but I like it. So
Tell me about it.
I was working part-time for a consulting company the past like 3 months or so. I started in March, and it was really cool, man. I got a hold of the EDA2 hidden tier ransomware kits from Utku Sen, I believe his name is. He's a Turkish security researcher who originally published the code, the source code, essentially on GitHub for educational and research purposes, but obviously people decided to be assholes and took his code and essentially turned it into actual ransomware. So, I don't know, I contacted him, and he ended up giving me the source code for it. And then I modified it a bit for a project we were working on with our business partners that do NSM kind of work. And we were testing how their solution worked, and I don't know, it was a really cool experience. I'm by no means a coder or a programmer. It was written in C#, .NET. It was kind of janky, but it was really cool. I got it to work, and that was a fun experience. I got to set up a C2 server and see how that worked, so that was a learning experience. And then now my new project is, and I was kind of doing some research today, I'm going to start playing around with Cuckoo Sandbox, which is a platform to do malware analysis in a secure environment, and it's automated, so that's really cool. I watched a lot of conference talks about it, read a lot of tutorials online, and I think I'm going to play around with that idea. So, and then along with that, I'm still continuing to work on my Python scripting knowledge, so that's basically
So does Cuckoo provide any sort of way for Python to extend its functionality? Because it's automation, you said?
You said Cuckoo?
I'm not familiar with Cuckoo, actually.
Yeah, so Cuckoo's actually written in Python.
I figured. I actually totally guessed that.
And that's actually the reason why I'm going to push for my Python learning even more, is because the more Python you know, the more customizable it can be. It's very cool, and I mean, it's a virtualization technique, right, for malware analysis. So, like, there's two types, right? There's emulation, and then there's virtualization. Obviously, Cuckoo Sandbox is virtualization. It utilizes either VMware, its ESXi, platform, or I think KVM's even supported, and VirtualBox. So it does use virtualization, and we all know that with malware and their evasive capabilities nowadays, there's ways for malware to detect if it's in a sandbox or not. But I don't know, I watched a presentation on one of the core developers. I can't remember his name, but he referenced himself as the Dutch guy. So I'm just going to reference him as the Dutch guy. But he wrote his own VMware or VM cloak tool, which essentially does even the smallest things. So what these malware samples were doing to detect if they were in a sandbox were just simple things, like looking at the hard drive size, right? Like, think about it. When you make a virtual machine, you don't make it 250 gigs. You don't make it 500 gigs, right? You probably do even for a Windows VM, I think the most I've ever done was 60.
That's way too much even for me.
Right, so he just simple things like that, and what you're naming the hard drive, so it's not VBox disk or whatever, and changing some other things. He wrote a nifty little tool for it, so I'm gonna check that out. And then he also wrote a really simple setup bash script if you're deploying it on a Debian-based system. So I'm definitely going to utilize that, and I'll probably be digging into that tomorrow, this weekend. So
cool.
It seems like it's got a really good support community. I mean, there's things out there like Lastline and other commercialized tools that do malware analysis, but I don't know. I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to pour into that. So I'm just going to roll with the Cuckoo Sandbox platform, see how it operates, and then hopefully as I learn more with Python, there's more things, when I get ideas, I can actually contribute to the project, right, in the future, or come with ideas just to make, my analysis process a lot easier, so.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. I'm sticking with my Ruby for now.
There you go.
You can on my Ruby.
You've got hard on for Ruby, though.
Yeah, I mean,
you do have a hard on for Ruby.
It's not it's not a hard on for Ruby. It's more just when I think, because I think about the problems I'll have to solve on a day-to-day basis, and Bash scripting was how I was solving problems for the longest time. And Then I got introduced to Perl because of school, and I really didn't care for Perl that much. And
Perl is beautiful, Kent.
I knew a little bit about Ruby, and then it was soon as like I was like basically told to learn Perl, I do this like weird context switch sometimes in my brain where like I already knew a little bit about Ruby. So like I was just like, I'm not gonna learn Perl. But like I did learn Perl because I had to for like the class, like got an A in Perl. But like I just like focused so much on Ruby because I was told to focus on Perl. And then basically
Told to focus on Perl, focuses on Ruby instead.
yeah, and just like Ruby is just such a honestly fun language to solve problems in for programming. And then when I came across Pry for Ruby, it basically just like opened up, like pried open, like just like a whole new world into how I can think about code and how I can kind of like dig into problems. I really enjoyed it. And that's why like I continue to really enjoy writing Ruby command line applications. Like that's what I get that like Ruby has this whole web application like community, and that's what kind of like is almost its driving force in a lot of ways. But Ruby command line applications, they're my bread and butter at the moment. Like I really, really like creating them. I really enjoy the process. It's really, in a way, easy. It's very fun, and it does actually make me happy. And so I don't think their whole thing about making programmers happy is like a lie. Like it's straight up, it makes you happy. At least in my opinion.
What's next on the agenda?
I'm sorry, what?
What's next on the agenda?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think we covered a lot of things for this first episode.
Oh yeah,
Of the Come
Many
Chill
to come.
podcast. By the way, I don't think we ever mentioned in the beginning, but all thoughts and opinions expressed here in this space are ours and not our employers. So
Yeah.
Indeed.
Like, feel free to like even like you can put that in the beginning if you want. I don't care.
yeah, I just think it just needs to be said before we wrap things
Yeah.
up.
Exactly. Like I feel like that's definitely
That needs to be stressed, right? Because like we even talked about some ethical things and stuff like that. So, but yeah, cool. I don't know. I think this was a good thing. This is an idea a lot of us have had for a while. I know Kent and I personally have been talking about this for months now. When I was still out in the Ypsi area, and it just never kind of took off just because of busyness with school work and stuff like that. But you know, we always do this little hangout. Pretty much, I want to say it's probably like every other night, usually, at least a few times a week. So what we decided was when we do these things, we're gonna just kind of record it and kind of help spread, you know, some knowledge or insight, and hopefully people like to listen to it and continue to follow it.
Yeah, feel free to do the like social media and share if you want. Like, you know, like go ahead, like it on Twitter. I'm probably gonna post this on Twitter and be like, look, I said things.
I'll laugh my ass off if this ends up being a Facebook meme.
Share it all.
I think the biggest thing is like if you're especially in the EMU IASA club or in the IA program there, I really encourage you to join future talks or just future hangouts, get to know people. And also in the fall when our meetings start up, please attend the meetings, regardless of what level you're at or what you're, you know, good at or specialized in when it comes to information security. I think it's just very beneficial when you bring so many people with different, you know, niches or stuff like that together, and it's amazing how much we can learn and share with each other. And at the end of the day, I mean, we're all about InfoSec, so why not?
Definitely.
All right, well, everyone say goodbye to the viewers.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye to the
Love you
people.
all.
Bye forever.